ladies and gentlemen, there is a power inside you that many have underestimated. It is not in your muscles, not in your education, not even in your money. The true power lies in your mouth. The words you speak today are shaping the future you will live in tomorrow. The fiction declares that life and death are in the power of the tongue. That means your mouth is a womb. Every time you speak, you are either conceiving life or giving birth to death. Words are not just sounds, they are seeds. And like seeds, they carry the DNA of your destiny. Think about it. The world itself was created by words. Let there be light. And there was light. If words had enough authority to call the universe into being, surely your words carry enough power to call your future into existence. But here is the challenge. Too many of us have become careless gardeners. We plant weeds with our speech and wonder why our lives produce thorns. We say, I'm not good enough. I'll never succeed. Nothing ever works for me. Then we look around and see a harvest of frustration, failure, and fear. My friends, what you are living in today is the fruit of the words you spoke yesterday. So the question is, what are you speaking over yourself? Do you wake up in the morning and declare, this is the day the Lord has made, I will rejoice and be glad in it? Or do you rise with complaints on your lips? Because let me tell you, your words set the atmosphere for your day. You must learn to speak life over yourself. When the world says you are weak, declare, I am strong. When the economy says there is lack, declare, my cup overflows. When fear whispers that you cannot make it, proclaim with boldness, I can do all things through him who strengthens me. Hear me carefully. Your mouth is the pen that writes the story of your life. Vision without words remains invisible. You must give voice to what you see in your spirit. Speak your vision until your environment begins to adjust to it. Say it until your mind believes it. Declare it and be consistent. Because one positive statement followed by 10 negative confessions is like planting a seed today and digging it up tomorrow. Build a culture of life-giving words around yourself. Speak them, write them, sing them, declare them. You are creating an atmosphere for your future. Finally, remember this. What you speak is not just for you. It's for generations. Your children, your community, your legacy. They will live in the environment created by your words. So guard your tongue. Refuse to speak defeat. Refuse to give life to fear. Instead, open your mouth and let hope, faith, and destiny flow out like a river. My friends, the secret power of words is no longer a secret. It is in your hands. Or better yet, it is on your tongue. Choose life, speak life, and you will live in the future your words created. Hundreds of years ago, words are seeds. Every word you release carries within it the potential to produce something tangible in your life. A seed is small, often invisible in its effect when first planted, but once it enters the soil, it begins a process of transformation. In the same way, the words you speak may seem harmless, ordinary, or insignificant, but they are going into the soil of your heart, the minds of others, and the atmosphere around you. And just like seeds, they do not remain the same. They multiply and bring forth a harvest. When a farmer plants corn, he never expects apples. He knows the seed will always reproduce after its kind. Your words work the same way. When you speak encouragement, faith, and hope, those seeds will produce strength, confidence, and opportunity. But when you plant words of doubt, fear, or anger, you cannot expect peace and progress. You will only reap anxiety, failure, and brokenness. What you are experiencing right now in your life may not be the result of your enemies or your circumstances, but the seeds you have been planting with your own tongue. This is why it is so critical to become intentional with your words. Seeds do not care whether you are aware of what you're planting. They will grow regardless. If you speak carelessly, you may be sowing weeds into the garden of your destiny. But if you speak life, you are planting orchards of possibility that will feed you and others for years to come. Your words are never empty. They are containers of power, carrying life or death, blessing or curse, success or failure. Creation responds to speech. From the beginning of time, the evidence has been clear. Nothing moves until something is spoken. The very first act recorded in history was not a hammer striking stone or a hand shaping clay. It was a voice declaring, "Let there be." And from that command, light burst forth. Oceans took their boundaries and stars flung themselves into galaxies. Creation was waiting still and silent until sound broke the silence. That principle has never changed. The earth itself has been designed to recognize and obey words. Mountains shift, seas divide, storms are silenced, all at the command of spoken authority. Even nature testifies that it bends its ear towards sound. Animals respond to the call of their master. Seeds sprout when blessed, and barren places come alive when spoken over. This means your environment is not deaf. It is listening for what you release. When you open your mouth, you activate laws that govern existence. Words set boundaries, define realities, and summon opportunities. They are not just vibrations in the air, but signals sent into the unseen, pulling resources, aligning circumstances, and summoning people into place. Your speech has the ability to command order where there is chaos, direction where there is confusion, and possibility where there seems to be nothing. If creation itself obeys the sound of words, how much more will your own life yield to what you continually declare? Your health, your finances, your relationships, your destiny. They're all waiting for the sound of your voice. The world around you is a reflection of what you have been speaking into it. If you want to change your life, you must first change your language, because creation will always respond to speech. Self-talk determines destiny. The loudest voice in your life is not the voice of your friends, not the voice of your parents, not even the voice of your critics. It is the voice you hear when no one else is speaking. That constant conversation you have with yourself shapes how you see the world, how you interpret challenges, and how you respond to opportunities. If that inner dialogue is filled with defeat, fear, and limitation, you will begin to walk in the direction of those words. If it is filled with vision, strength, and faith, your steps will naturally align with progress and victory. Your mind was created to believe what it hears most often, and it cannot distinguish between a truth spoken by others and a truth spoken by you. That means when you keep telling yourself, "I can't do this. I'm not enough. Nothing ever works out for me," you are programming your own destiny for failure. But when you declare, "I am able, I am equipped, I am favored, I was born for purpose," you are planting a script for your future that your life will eventually follow. Self-talk is the steering wheel of destiny. It turns you toward either success or failure long before your feet ever move. Many people are not defeated by circumstances, but by their own words echoing in their minds day after day. They talk themselves out of opportunities, out of dreams, out of growth, because they have rehearsed failure internally until it became reality externally. On the other hand, those who master the discipline of positive self-talk carry an inner climate that cannot be easily shaken. Even when storms come, they remind themselves, this too shall pass. Even when doors close, they say a better door is waiting. Even when others doubt them, they say, I believe in who I am becoming. Over time, their inner conversation creates an outer reality that matches the destiny they spoke into existence. Words shape identity. Long before a person discovers who they truly are, the words spoken over them begin to define their sense of self. A child who constantly hears, you are smart, you are capable, you are valuable, grows up with a mindset that reflects those declarations. Another who is told, you are nothing, you are failure, you will never amount to anything, often lives out that label, even when it is not true. Identity is molded not just by experiences, but by the vocabulary that surrounds and enters the heart. The words you speak to yourself become the mirror through which you see your own reflection. If you constantly say, I am broken, I am weak, I am unworthy, you begin to wear those words like clothing, and soon they become your identity. But if you affirm, I am chosen, I am strong, I am filled with purpose, you rise to live out that truth. Words are more than descriptions, they are definitions. And once accepted, they set the parameters of who you believe you are. Even nations, communities, and families are shaped by the language they adopt. A culture that speaks pride, unity, and vision produces people who carry dignity and purpose. A culture that speaks hatred, fear, and limitation creates citizens who live within those boundaries. The same principle applies to you personally. Your identity expands or contracts according to the language you continually embrace. This is why it is so important to guard your identity with intentional speech. If you do not define yourself with life-giving words, the world will define you with destructive ones. Your destiny depends on declaring who you truly are, even before you fully see it. Speak what you are becoming until it becomes the reality you live. Because the truth is simple. Words shape identity, and identity determines destiny. The power of agreement is one of the greatest forces available to humanity. When two or more voices declare the same thing, they create an atmosphere where that word gains strength and momentum. Agreement amplifies speech. It takes a single seed of declaration and multiplies its potential. That is why encouragement feels so powerful. When someone else affirms what you already believe or hope for, it pushes that belief deeper into your spirit and calls it closer to reality. Agreement is not only about people, it is also about what you choose to align your words with. Every time you open your mouth, you are either agreeing with truth or agreeing with lies, with faith or with fear, with destiny or with defeat. If you say, I cannot, you have come into agreement with limitation, and limitation will shape your outcome. If you say, I can, you have aligned with possibility, and possibility will open its doors to you. Agreement gives permission for what you align with to manifest. Two people speaking the same word can move mountains because their united declaration creates an atmosphere that cannot easily be broken. But even when no one else joins you, the question remains, whose voice are you agreeing with in your own life? Will you echo the doubts of critics, or will you stand in harmony with the promises of purpose. Agreement decides which voice becomes the loudest in your destiny. When you choose agreement with life, with hope, with vision, you set in motion a force greater than opposition. You draw strength from others who speak the same. And you give creation the confirmation it is waiting for. Agreement is not passive. It is active cooperation with the future you desire. And when your mouth comes into harmony with the right words, the world around you must eventually respond. Life and death are in the tongue. That means every time you speak, you are holding a weapon and a tool at the same time. Your words can breathe hope into someone's heart, or they can crush their spirit. They can build bridges of peace, or they can ignite fires of conflict. They can give courage to your own soul, or they can drain the strength out of your future. Words are never neutral. They always carry weight. And that weight leans toward life or toward death. Think about how a single sentence can change the course of a life. A teacher tells a student, "You are brilliant," and a seed of greatness is planted that may grow for decades. The same teacher tells another, "You'll never succeed," and that child may battle self-doubt for years. A parent tells their child, "I'm proud of you," and it gives wings of confidence. Another says, "You are worthless," and it chains the heart in shame. But your life and death are not only dramatic events, they are hidden in the daily words we speak without thought. Even in your own life, your tongue decides whether you rise or fall. Speak life over your health, and you empower your body to fight. Speak death over your future, and you sabotage your own opportunities before they arrive. The tongue is like a thermostat. It sets the climate of your existence. If your speech is full of bitterness, complaint, and negativity, you create an atmosphere where joy cannot survive. But if your words carry gratitude, vision, and faith, you create an environment where success and peace naturally thrive. This truth should make us pause before speaking. Because once a word is released, it cannot be taken back. They will either heal or wound, strengthen or weaken, build or destroy. To master your tongue is to master the very direction of your life. Choose words that give life, and life will rise around you. Choose words that give death, and death will follow close behind. That is why the tongue must be handled with reverence, because in it rests the power to shape not only your future, but also the futures of those who hear you. Vision requires language, because what you see in your mind has no power until it is expressed with your mouth. A vision locked inside you is like a seed kept in a jar. It has potential, but it will never grow until it is planted. Language is the act of planting. It gives form and structure to what was once invisible. When you begin to speak your vision, you give it life in the natural realm and set in motion the process that attracts resources, people, and opportunities to bring it into being. Every great movement in history began with words. Leaders spoke of freedom and nations rose. Inventors described possibilities and innovations came forth. Families declared their hopes and generations were shaped. The ability to put vision into language is what transforms imagination into reality. Without language, vision remains trapped in silence. But with language, vision becomes a roadmap that others can follow and support. Language also holds you accountable. When you declare what you see, you bind yourself to the responsibility of pursuing it. As long as it remains unspoken, it can be dismissed as a passing thought. But once spoken, it becomes a promise, both to yourself and to those who hear you. That spoken word creates momentum, and momentum attracts manifestation. Your future will never respond to silence. It responds to sound. Vision requires you to speak what does not yet exist as though it already does. That is not pretending. It is aligning your words with your destiny. When you give your vision language, you are announcing to creation, this is what I expect, this is what I believe, this is what will come to pass. And in time, the unseen will become seen, because vision always demands to be spoken before it can be lived. Consistency builds atmosphere, because what you say once may touch the air, but what you say repeatedly begins to shape the very environment around you. A single declaration is powerful, but when it becomes a pattern, it creates a climate in which your words take root and grow. Just as the weather of a place is not defined by one sunny day or one stormy day, but by the repeated conditions over time, the atmosphere of your life is defined by the consistency of your speech. When you consistently speak life, hope, and vision, those words saturate your surroundings. They seep into your mind, train your emotions, and influence your actions until your whole being is aligned with what you have declared. On the other hand, when you consistently speak fear, doubt, or negativity, you create a toxic climate where growth and progress cannot survive. It is not the occasional careless word that shapes destiny, but the steady stream of language you allow to flow from your mouth day after day. Consistency also teaches others how to respond to you. If you are constantly affirming your vision, people around you begin to believe it as well, and they will treat you according to the atmosphere you have created. If your words are unstable, positive today, negative tomorrow, you create confusion both in your own heart and in the hearts of others. But a consistent confession builds trust, attracts support, and strengthens resolve, because it proves you are committed to what you declare. The truth is, your life eventually reflects the climate of your speech. Just as seeds need a stable environment to flourish, your destiny requires a consistent atmosphere to manifest. Speak life, not once in a while, but as a daily habit. Declare your purpose not only when you feel inspired, but especially when you feel discouraged. Over time, that rhythm of consistent speech becomes the invisible air you breathe, the atmosphere that carries you toward the future you desire. Guard your mouth, because every word that escapes your lips carries consequences, and once released, it cannot be taken back. A word may seem small in the moment, but it can heal or wound, build or destroy, elevate or diminish. That is why wisdom calls for vigilance over the tongue. Just as a gatekeeper decides who enters a city, you must decide which words are permitted to leave your mouth, for they will shape the atmosphere you live in and the relationships you carry. To guard your mouth is not to live in silence, but to live with intention. It means pausing before speaking, weighing the power of your words, and asking yourself if they align with life, truth, and purpose. Too many futures have been sabotaged by careless speech. A single sentence spoken in anger has ended friendships. A careless declaration of doubt has strangled the birth of an idea. A repeated confession of weakness has produced a life that reflects nothing but limitation. The tongue left unguarded is like a wildfire. Once it sparks, it consumes everything in its path. Guarding your mouth also means protecting your own mind from destructive self-talk. You must not only watch what you say to others, but also what you continually say to yourself. If you allow negativity to flow unchecked, you become your own greatest enemy. But if you guard your lips with wisdom, you preserve your strength, your focus, and your hope. This discipline requires self-awareness and practice, but it brings great reward. When you train your tongue to align with your vision, your life begins to walk in that direction. When you refuse to give voice to fear or bitterness, those forces lose their grip on you. Guard your mouth, for it is the doorway to your destiny. If you watch over it with care, your words will carry life, peace, and strength into every area of your existence. Now, speak today for tomorrow, because every word you release is a seed planted in time, and it will grow into the environment you will one day walk into. What you declare in this moment is not just for now, it is shaping the reality of your future. The words you choose today are architects, designing the structures of opportunity, relationships, and outcomes you will encounter tomorrow. If you constantly speak defeat in the present, you are building a future that reflects failure. If you speak faith, hope, and vision now, you are constructing a tomorrow filled with possibility. The future does not arrive by accident. It is spoken into existence long before it is seen. Great destinies are not only dreamed, but declared. When you say, I will succeed, I will overcome, I will fulfill my purpose, you are sending those words ahead of you to prepare the path. Your declarations become like builders, arranging resources, aligning people, and opening doors before you even reach them. In the same way, careless speech works against you. Negative words spoken today wait for you in the future like traps, limiting what you can become. This is why it is vital to treat every day as an opportunity to speak life into the days ahead. What you say over your health today will determine your strength tomorrow. What you speak over your children today will echo in their lives years later. What you declare about your work, your vision, your relationships today will shape how they unfold in seasons to come. You are not only living in the results of yesterday's choices, you are also walking in the harvest of yesterday's words. So speak with intention. Let your tongue send faith forward. Use your words to plant joy, to build hope, to establish peace, to call forth provision. When tomorrow arrives, it will carry the fruit of what you spoke today. And if you fill today with life-giving declarations, you will always step into a future that reflects the words you chose to believe and release. My friends, everything you have heard today points to one undeniable truth. Your future is not waiting for chance, it is waiting for your words. The tongue in your mouth is the key that unlocks the doors of destiny. Words are seeds, and every seed you sow will grow. Creation itself responds when you speak. Your self-talk is either lifting you into purpose or chaining you to limitation. Your identity is being shaped by the declarations you accept. Agreement multiplies the power of your speech. Life and death are both waiting at the edge of your lips. Vision demands language. Consistency creates atmosphere. And guarding your mouth ensures that nothing careless cancels your destiny. And every word you speak today is building the tomorrow you will live in. So here is the charge. Speak life. Speak boldly. Speak with intention. Refuse to give your voice to defeat. Use your tongue to frame a future worth living in. Every time you open your mouth, you are either building a prison or constructing a palace. Choose carefully, because the world you speak is the world you will see. The secret power of words is no longer hidden from you. It is in your hands, and more important, it is on your tongue. Speak life over yourself and watch the future rise to meet your words.